Hello, everyone. My name is Andrew.
And I'm Kassy.
And you are listening to Culips. Hello there, everyone. You are listening to Catchword, the Culips vocabulary series where we teach you useful and interesting English idioms, expressions, and phrasal verbs, and all of these great things. Today, I am joined by my co-host, Kassy. Kassy, hello.
Hey, how's it going?
I'm doing really well, Kassy. And actually, today is a great day for us because we are going to answer a listener's email. And I love these kinds of episodes when our listeners send us a message and they request for us to cover a topic because it's just fun for us, I think, right? It's cool to be helpful in this way.
Yeah, it's a great way to interact with listeners, right?
Totally. And our email today comes from Russia, and it was sent to us by a listener named Vera. And Vera said, "Hello, my name is Vera from Moscow, Russia. Thank you guys for what you're doing. I listen to your podcast every day, and the hosts are like members of my family already. You are great." Well, thank you for that kind compliment, Vera. And she goes on to say, "I wanted to ask you to record an episode on this topic. It is, I can't help but do or doing something. So what does it mean? How can we use it? If I translate this phrase verbatim, it sounds strange. Translating verbatim means translating word for word. Mm-hmm. So I guess when she takes this phrase, I can't help but do something, and translates it into Russian, then it gets confusing. So maybe you could explain the meaning and enlighten us. So that's what we'll do here today, Kassy. And I can understand where Vera is coming from, I think. Once I started thinking about this expression, I realized, yeah, it actually is pretty difficult, isn't it?
Yeah, sometimes you find a really cool phrase and you want to try to, piece it together and use it yourself. And when you put it in the translator to, make sure you are using it correctly, it just comes out as gibberish.
Exactly. So we'll try and clarify that for Vera and all of our listeners here today. But before we get started, guys, I want to let you know that you can get the study guide for this episode on our website, which is culips.com. And the study guide is jam-packed with lots of things that will help you improve your English, like the transcript, and there are vocabulary definitions, example sentences, dialogue examples. There's a quiz. There's lots of good stuff in the study guide. We really think that it is the best way to study with us, and we highly recommend that you check it out. So just visit culips.com to give it a download. So Kassy, let's take a close look at this tricky expression that native speakers actually use all the time in our everyday speaking, but can be very difficult to learn. And that is these expressions or phrases that are based around the words can't help. Okay, can't help. And I brainstormed 3 different ways that native speakers use this can't help expression. And so what we'll do here in this episode is take a look at all of those 3 different usage patterns, and then we'll give you guys some example sentences and a dialogue example as well for each one of those usage patterns. Okay? Does that sound okay for you, Kassy?
That sounds great.
The first pattern is when we use can't help plus a gerund. Okay, so a gerund is a verb that has been turned into a noun with the help of the ing grammatical suffix. Okay.
Can you give some examples, Andrew?
Yeah, it's getting a little technical, so let's give some examples. For example, sleeping, eating, running. These are all gerunds, right? They're originally based on an action, but they have been transformed into a noun through the use of that ing that we've attached to the end. Okay, so if you can't help sleeping, if you can't help running, if you can't help playing a computer game, for example, then this means that it's impossible to stop doing that thing, right? It's something that is so attractive, so desirable that it's impossible to stop doing that thing.
I agree. It's good for things that are so amazing that you can't stop doing them. But sometimes it's also something like a bad habit. For example, I have a really hard time. I can't stop biting my nails when I'm nervous.
Yes. So it could be that something is so fun that you don't want to stop. It could also be that something is just like a habit or ingrained, like you said, and it literally is almost impossible to stop unless you really force yourself and will yourself to stop, right?
Yeah.
All right. So with that being said, I think maybe the best way to get a sense for the meaning of this first usage pattern is to listen to some example sentences. And everyone, this is kind of a new experiment here in the Catchword series. Usually we give you a dialogue example, and we will give you a dialogue example in a moment, but we thought we'd also give you some example sentences so that you can hear these expressions used in a sentence context. And so what we'll do is I will read the sentence, then Kassy will read the sentence, and then we are going to give you some space where you can read the sentence or you can repeat the sentence. So you can actually get some speaking practice this way too, because we know a lot of our listeners actually have the problem of not speaking English very much. So this will be an opportunity for you to move your mouth and to actually produce English. All right, so first it's me, then it's Kassy, and then it's you, listeners. So here we go. Let's listen to the example sentences now.
Okay.
I can't help dancing whenever I hear that song.
I can't help dancing whenever I hear that song.
Okay, so this means that the speaker has to dance when they hear that song, right? It's impossible for them not to start dancing. They have to dance. Even if they wanted to not dance, they can't. They can't help it.
Andrew, do you have an example of a song when you use this type of sentence?
Yeah, actually, this is a little bit of a funny aside, Kassy, but I saw on the internet this week kind of meme, a joke, that it was a list of 50 songs that Canadian people get turnt up to. So turnt up is a slang expression that means they get really excited when they hear these songs. And
I can just imagine a group of Canadians getting turned up. Anyway, enlighten me, please.
Well, most of them were songs that get played in hockey arenas when a hockey game is on. And I actually found myself kind of agreeing with a lot of the songs on the list. And one of the songs that was really high on the list is called Cotton Eye Joe. I don't know if you know this song, Cotton Eye Joe.
I do know that song.
It's a really catchy song, and listeners, if you don't know this song, you can Google it and listen to it on YouTube. But that's an example, I think. If I'm at a hockey game and the energy is high and they turn on Cotton Eye Joe, I can't help but dance. I can't help but get caught up in the music.
I feel the same way for the Macarena. Da, 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 da.
Yeah, try to not dance when you hear the Macarena. It's impossible. You can't help it. Let's listen to the next example sentence. She can't help crying when she watches sad movies.
She can't help crying when she watches sad movies.
So this sentence just means that this woman always cries during sad movies, right? It's impossible for her to watch a sad movie and not cry.
I think that's a common thing that happens for emotional people.
Let's listen to the final example sentence. They can't help cheering whenever their team scores a goal.
They can't help cheering whenever their team scores a goal.
So when their team scores a goal, they cheer, right? They can't resist.
Yeah, there's too much energy, too much excitement.
Too much energy, too much excitement. So they always cheer, and it's impossible to not cheer. This is what that means. All right. And finally, we are going to listen to one longer dialogue example with this usage pattern. So let's do that now. Hey, check it out. An ice cream shop. Want to grab a cone?
I thought you were on a sugar-free diet.
I am, but I just can't help craving a snack in the afternoon. I always need to munch on something.
Okay, well, sure. I could go for some ice cream.
So in this example, we heard someone say, I just can't help craving a snack in the afternoon. So this means it's impossible to resist this craving, right? Whether this person likes it or not, every afternoon they want to eat a snack. They can't help craving that snack. And craving means like a desire or something you want to eat, right? A lot of people crave sweet foods or crave a cigarette or crave attention. These are common usage patterns with this word.
Usually I use craving the most with some sort of food I really want if I'm bored. Like I'm really craving chocolate right now.
Yeah, exactly. I think I crave some kind of food almost every day.
Don't we all? I mean.
Let's move on to the second usage pattern with can't help. And so this is similar, but it's a little bit different because we can also use it to not be able to help something when we're talking about something that is impossible to change. So, you know, Kassy, we were talking about like, I can't help dancing or I can't help biting my nails. But this is actually true that we can resist, right? We're using it in that sense to almost to emphasize that this song is really good or that my habit is really ingrained and difficult to break.
Yeah, like it's not really impossible, but our willpower isn't strong enough.
Right. I can't help but crave an ice cream. Like it's almost an excuse like, I can't control myself. I'm just going to eat an ice cream, right? It's like, it's almost like a metaphorical use of the expression. But here in this usage pattern and this usage sense, it's true that it's impossible to change. Like maybe if you have a disease, right? You can't change your disease. You can't undo a disease or some sort of physical characteristic, these things that we can't change, or, you know, we can't change the color of our skin or where we were born or what kind of family we ended up with. These are things that are beyond our control and we actually can't help it. Again, the meaning is similar, but this is more of a literal sense that it is impossible to change our situation.
I think we need some examples to put it into perspective.
Yeah, good call. Let's listen to the example sentences. And again, guys, I will say it, Kassy will say it, and then it's your turn to say it. Okay, here we go. He would like to live a normal life, one without his disease, but he can't help it.
He would like to live a normal life, one without his disease, but he can't help it.
Very sad sentence. So, yeah, just like I was saying a moment ago, if you're born with a disease that we haven't discovered a cure for yet, then you can't help it, right? You can't help that you have a disease or a medical condition.
Yeah, there's nothing you can do.
Nothing you can do, just have to live with it. All right, example sentence number 2. I feel really bad for those kids. They can't help it that their mom is an alcoholic and their dad is a criminal.
I feel really bad for those kids. They can't help it that their mom is an alcoholic and their dad is a criminal.
Wow, we're getting dark here. These are 2 negative sentences in a row.
It's super dark. But I mean, that's reality, right? It happens.
Some children are born into these families where, unfortunately, their parents aren't the best. And it's not the children's fault, right? They didn't have any choice. They can't change their situation. So this is the perfect context for using this expression. They can't help it. They can't help it. They can't change their situation. And this next one really rings true for me, Kassy. Let's listen to example sentence number 3. If I could grow some hair and not be bald anymore, I would, but I can't help it that I lost my hair.
If I could grow some hair and not be bald anymore, I would, but I can't help it that I lost my hair. I hope that never happens to me.
Yeah, me too. Me too. So exactly, this is another context where we could use this sentence that I can't help it that I lost my hair, right? For listeners that don't know, I unfortunately am going bald way faster than I would like.
It's okay, Andrew.
Okay, Kassy, let's listen to a dialogue example now using this I can't help it to mean it's impossible to change something.
Let's go to the park on Saturday.
I don't think I can. I gotta work.
That sucks.
I know, but I can't help it. Sorry. So in this example conversation, 2 friends are talking about going to the park, but one can't go to the park because he has to work. And he says, I can't help it. Here meaning that it is impossible for him to change this reality, right? Maybe he needs the money and so he can't not go to work, or he just values his job, right?
This is a great sentence to make an excuse too, because it makes it sound like, you really want to go, but it's not up to you. You don't have a choice. You can't help it.
Right. That's true. That's something that I didn't think of, but native speakers will often use a sentence pattern like this when they are giving an excuse for a reason why they can't do something. I'd love to go to your birthday party, but I have a doctor's appointment and I can't cancel now. I can't help it. I'm sorry, but I'll see you next time, okay? Right? Something like this.
Yeah, it's like a good way to turn someone down, even if you don't really want to go. You make it sound like you want to go, but you can't.
Yes, exactly. Very good. All right, and we have one final usage pattern that we are going to look at today. This usage pattern is, I can't help but do something. I can't help but do something. And so again, this is very similar to the other patterns that we looked at, and it just means that it's impossible to stop doing something. So we use it more with verbs. Instead of using it with gerunds or with conditions like diseases or physical conditions or situations that are beyond our control, this pattern we use with verbs when we want to say that we can't stop doing that action, that it's impossible to stop doing that action.
We're going to look at some examples in a minute, but when I think of this phrase, I think of, I can't help but love him. Maybe you have a really annoying little brother and he really gets on your nerves, but when I say the expression, I can't help but love him, the verb is love with the expression, I can't help but, and it means that no matter what he does, it's impossible for me to stop loving him.
Right. Even if he is super annoying and drives you crazy, he's still your brother. And at the end of the day, you still love him. So you can't help but love him. Let's listen to the 3 example sentences with this usage pattern. And then we'll listen to a dialogue example. I can't help but appreciate the nurses and doctors who work so hard to keep us healthy and safe.
I can't help but appreciate the nurses and doctors who work so hard to keep us healthy and safe.
Okay, so it's impossible to not appreciate the nurses and doctors. This is the meaning of this sentence.
This is a great phrase to learn in this time period right now.
Yes, maybe this is the sentence of the year for 2020. Okay, example sentence number 2. She can't help but wonder at the marvels of the universe when she stares up at the night sky.
She can't help but wonder at the marvels of the universe when she stares up at the night sky.
Okay, so to wonder here means to be in awe of something, really just amazed, right? So I feel this way too. When I look up at the night sky and on a really clear night and you see all of the stars shining, maybe you see a shooting star, you're like, wow, it's so amazing, right? You can't help but wonder at it.
Yeah, it's impossible not to be amazed by how beautiful and big it is.
Exactly. All right, and example sentence number 3. We can't help but think about picking up some fresh bread whenever we walk past the bakery and smell all the delicious smells of freshly baked goods.
We can't help but think about picking up some fresh bread whenever we walk past the bakery and smell all the delicious smells of freshly baked goods.
I feel this one hard because I have a bakery near my house, and when I walk past it, I always want to stop and pick up a snack.
Yeah, those cravings, that word we used earlier, I get real cravings when I passed by a delicious smelling bakery.
Oh yeah, it's a great smell. So here we can't help but think about picking up some fresh bread. That is a long and complicated sentence, but we can't help but think about picking up. Picking up here means to buy, right? To pick up some fresh bread means to buy some fresh bread. And we can't help but think. So do they buy fresh bread, Kassy?
They don't necessarily buy fresh bread. They're just thinking about buying it.
Right. So they can't control that thought, right? Whenever they smell that delicious bread, then that thought happens in their head that they, should we pick some up? Should we not pick some up? They can't help but thinking about it. It's impossible to stop that thought. All right. And finally, we'll listen to a conversation example. So let's do that now.
You sure look tired today.
I know, right? I'm so stupid. I stayed up until 2 a.m. last night.
Dude, why would you do that?
I started watching a movie around midnight, and then once I started, I just couldn't help but watch it all the way to the end.
I have definitely experienced this many times.
Are you a late night movie watcher, Kassy?
Movies or books. I am addicted to reading.
Ah, okay. So maybe if you're tired in the daytime, it's because you stayed up reading too late at night. You just couldn't help but turn the next page.
Exactly.
Well, everyone, I think that about brings us to the end of today's episode. We definitely hope that you found it useful and that you learned something new. Again, a big thanks to our listener from Russia, Vera, for the great episode suggestion. It was a fun one to talk about. Guys, don't forget that the study guide for this episode is on our website, culips.com. And if you want to stay up to date with all of the latest Culips news, you can do that by following us on social media. We are on Facebook and Twitter and YouTube, and probably these days most active on Instagram. So if you're an Instagram user, you can check us out there. All you have to do to find us is search for the Culips English podcast and we'll pop right up. If you, like Vera, would like to suggest an episode topic for an upcoming Culips episode, then shoot us an email. Our address is contact@culips.com. We'll be back soon with another brand new episode, and we'll talk to you then. Goodbye, everyone.
Catch you later.